It's been an odd time for us since we depopulated campus the middle of March. And so I have to say, watching that video of the Monon Bell just gives me the chills every time. And I think about what a great day that was for DePauw athletics and a great day for our DePauw football program. In recent weeks, our country has been grappling continuously with the unnecessary violence, in particular against African Americans within our country. And I want to take a moment to share with you all that these events have sparked more conversations within our staff about how we need to do more and how we need to do better in order to support our student athletes. Many of them are sad and frustrated, and we have other student athletes and staff who also have feelings of fear and hopelessness in this moment. So in the coming days, we'll be making some announcements about what to expect from Team DePauw as it relates to race and ethnicity. And we're going to go beyond more words. And that's what I have been sharing with folks as I have been talking with them, that it's one thing to say we're going to do something, but we walk the talk at DePauw, and so we're going to do that in this area as well. So please join us as we celebrate humanity and we celebrate love for each other, and we choose that anti-racism is the direction that we're going to go, and that we want our student athletes to be confident in talking about these subjects and taking action. So a few words there. We're here tonight, though, to give you all an opportunity to meet Brett Dietz, who is our new head football coach. He actually came to us more than 10 years ago at DePauw and has managed to move his way through the ranks on our campus and on that football staff. And after a national search in December, Brett came through as the top candidate. He was one who exuded passion for DePauw football. He was one who really clearly understood the balance of the student athlete experience at DePauw and how important it was for our student athletes to be able to pursue their academics, but also the general DePauw experience, fraternity life, studying abroad. And since the moment that he has become head coach, he has made it his mission to become the best head coach that he can. I will say in the past 6 months that we've been doing this, Brett, I give you an A+ in terms of transitioning from an assistant coach to head coach, in terms of your level of communication, the questions that you ask. It has been wonderful. And I just really wish we would have spent the last 3 months together in the office, because I think it would have been better. But, when Brett and I have done this in a couple other areas, and as I share things with him, one of the things that I wanted him to do, and he's done that already, is to make this program his own, to build upon the tradition that we have at DePauw and the strengths that we have, but really put his own spin on where he's at. And one of the key ways in which that happens is with an opportunity to perhaps put people in some chairs around a table and really make that staff their own. So I know Brett's going to get an opportunity to introduce them to you, but that's one of the ways in which we see that this is the new era of DePauw football with Brett Dietz at the helm. And it's no longer a space where I think folks are saying, he's in the shadow of Bill Lynch, because he is certainly not. He is making this program his own. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brett so he can let you get to know his staff and then hear from him directly.
Thanks, Stevie. I appreciate it. And, just so you guys know, Stevie's been phenomenal navigating us through this COVID stuff. Not that she wasn't before, but I think she's really shined, and obviously got a lot on her plate being director of all the health and wellness at DePauw. So thank you, Stevie, for guiding us through it as well and for giving me this opportunity. But happy to be with you guys. I'm a Cincinnati boy myself from across the river in northern Kentucky, so I'm glad to be with you guys and sharing a little bit about myself, about our program, and really kind of giving you guys an update on what we're selling, what we're telling our kids, what we're trying to teach them as they go through it. And being virtual, obviously, it's really helpful. We can have our whole staff on here to kind of introduce them, and you can get to know them, because some of, like Srnka's been on staff for 9 years, and some of them are in their second week of being on staff. So being a new staff, this is a great opportunity to get to know them as well as myself and our program. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is introduce the staff. And I know Coach Srnka's been having internet issues, but I'm going to let him go first. So Scott, hop on, tell him who you are and what you do.
Thank you. It's been an interesting day at the Srnka household, pirating my neighbor's internet right now, with his graces, unfortunately, or fortunately. But I'm Scott Cernka. I am currently the associate head coach here at DePauw. I'm a 1987 graduate of Rhodes College in Memphis, and got my master's at Ohio University. Go Bobcats, right, Stevie? Then spent a year as a defensive coordinator at Urbana University. After that, I was the running back quarterbacks coach at Baldwin Wallace College. So I went from south to north in Ohio. After that stint, I went back to my alma mater, Rhodes, and I was the defensive coordinator there for 17 years. I've been at DePauw this is going on my 10th season, I guess, and really excited about what our kids are doing and what we have to offer. A few of my responsibilities, I've been the academic coordinator, and these last 2 semesters we put together 2 really good. Our players have done a tremendous job in the classroom. I think for the fall semester, our average GPA was a 3.1, and then the spring we just ran them out. It was a 3.4. So for 100 guys, that's a pretty good average, and we've, slowly we're notching up the board with what we're doing in the classroom. I'm also the strength and conditioning coach. Been doing that for quite a while. Our kids are getting wonderful experience in that weight room. Weight room is phenomenal, and it's really changed our kids' attitudes, our mindsets, and we're doing great amount of work in there, and they absolutely love it. So thank you for joining, and give it back to Brett.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for doing that. And Scott's been a big part of our program for such a long time. And Scott and myself were on staff before Coach Lynch got to DePauw, and he kept both of us on. And I think we both have grown in the last 7 years with Coach Lynch. So next, the next longest tenured guy with us here is Coach Taylor, who's just finishing up his first year. So Coach Taylor, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Everybody, Coach Austin Taylor. I coach the defensive line. Like Brett said, I'm just finishing up my first year, so it's crazy that I'm the second longest tenure guy. But I've loved my DePauw experience so far. Like I said, I'm the D-line coach, and then I handle other auxiliary duties as help out in the weight room, things on the field, etc. My story is I'm an Indianapolis native. Went to Ball State University, went through the walk-on process, realized pretty quickly that D1's hard, and so I transitioned more into a coaching role. Got to the opportunity to be a student assistant there. Kind of got my start there, then went back to my hometown of Indianapolis, coached at Pike High School, and then got to coach under Coach Adam Morris, who will introduce himself later at Hamilton Southeastern. I had a short stint at Zionsville before the opportunity to come to DePauw was given to me, and I took it and have had a great time here. In my time, I've learned under some really awesome coaches. Coach Cernka helps me a lot on the defensive side. We transitioned to the 3-4. That happened before I got here, but having coached in that system a couple different stints, when I got here, I really got to be more hands-on and learn holistically what we do, and we've had a lot of success here. Since transitioning to the 3-4, we've always been top 5 in the conference and stopping the run, and we had a couple top 10 national statistic years as well. So really excited to build upon that success going forward. Brett has a great plan going forward, and I think you guys will be pleased to have him at the helm.
Thanks, Coach Taylor. Coach Taylor is a guy that came in right away, and the players, he earned the players' respect right away. We have 2 senior defensive linemen this year that were pretty stubborn, and he had them wrapped around his finger by the end of the year. So I'm really impressed with what he does with our student athletes on the field, especially in building those relationships. Next up is Coach Morris, who we've hired about a month ago to be our run game coordinator. So Coach Morris, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to be on here. I'm an Ohio guy. My family is from East Cleveland, but I grew up in Columbus. I'm a Dublin Scioto High School graduate, so I'm a Columbus, Ohio native. Fortunate enough to have an opportunity to play at Ball State, and that's kind of how my career got started in Indiana. And I was an education major, special education, so I taught and coached high school football for a couple years. I was an assistant at a couple different programs, was a head coach at 2 different programs. And during that time, I started to get to know some of the guys previously on staff here at DePauw. And as I started to make the decision to get into the college game, DePauw was always a place I'd hoped it could happen. And I was fortunate enough for that to happen. So it's been awesome. Certainly it's been a unique time, as everybody else has said, but it's still been an unbelievable experience. The thing I've probably enjoyed the most so far has been the recruiting trail. And as I went through the interview process, a lot of it was probably selfish in nature and trying to get into the college game and coach. And the longer I've been at DePauw, the more pride I take in the thing that we can offer people. So it's been a blast to talk to kids and host these virtual visits. And I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to be recruiting the Cincinnati area as well as the rest of the state of Ohio. So here later on in the chat, I'll put my cell phone number, put my email address. And if you feel like you know a student athlete in the Cincinnati area, Ohio, or anywhere for that matter, certainly reach out to me, and we'd love to make them a Tiger. We want to make Cincinnati important, and alums are going to be our best tool. So I really think that we can make some inroads in Cincinnati as well as the state of Ohio. We've had about 40 plus guys almost already just in the state of Ohio on virtual visits. And I think between the experience of DePauw, a DePauw degree from Ohio kids, the chance to go back to a place like a Cincinnati or a Columbus, the way businesses and things are booming, I think it could be an awesome combination, not to mention being an Ohio conference and playing a lot of Ohio schools. So I'm really excited to recruit the area, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach Morris. We're definitely excited to get another Ohio guy on the staff, and I think he's going to do wonders for us, not only the recruiting trail, but with the offensive line, as you guys know, it'd be a very touchy group as far as very particular about who coaches them and how they do things. So I know he's excited to get into their world and get to know those guys. Coach Morris's first day at DePauw was the last day, I think, people were allowed on campus. So he did his orientation, then everything else has been online. And we actually have a newer employee than Coach Morris, and it's Michael Engel. So Coach Engel, hop on and introduce yourself.
Like Coach Dietz said, my name is Michael Engel. I'm the newest member of staff and have yet to be to campus, but fortunately I am a 2011 graduate of DePauw. So I may be a new face to the football coaching program, but I have been around DePauw probably longer than anybody. I'm originally from Terre Haute, Indiana. I was a 2007 graduate from Terre Haute South. I had a unique experience at DePauw. I know what's most important to a lot of people. My Bell record was 2-2. Was part of the Jordan Haverkamp field goal to win as time expired, and was part of the team that upset Wabash when they were ranked second in the country. So, had some great experiences with that. Also had a very unique experience because my senior season was Coach Dietz's first year on staff. So I had the opportunity to play for him. And then in the fall of 2011, I actually coached running backs at DePauw. So I had the opportunity to work with him and actually Coach Cernka. Coach Cernka and I went a little ways back because I threw an interception for a touchdown against one of his defenses, and he still to this day holds that over me. But, had the opportunity and pleasure to work for and play for Coach Dietz. And when he was promoted to head coach and the opportunity presented itself to come back, I jumped at it. I knew the vision he had for the program and what he was capable of, and couldn't think of anything better than getting back to the school that shaped me into who I am today. And, since graduating from DePauw, I've been a little bit all over the country in the coaching profession. I spent 4 years in Rhode Island at Bryant University, which is a 1AA school, coaching receivers there. I moved to Buckhannon, West Virginia, and spent a year and a half there as the offensive coordinator at West Virginia Wesleyan. And these past 3 years, I've been in Florida at Florida Institute of Technology. So I've been a little bit all over the place. Actually, with all of the travel in the last 9 years, my extent of getting back to Indiana is usually for holidays. So I have driven around the DePauw campus probably twice in the last 9 years. So we've had 2 virtual visits since I've been back on staff, and I feel like a kid at a candy store seeing all the new facilities and everything that the campus has. And I think I'm more excited than anybody to get back to school and see everything in person. I haven't been in the brand new weight room. I'm envious of the turf field. I remember muddy playoff games, and, I can't wait to get back to work and get started and see what we're able to do this year. Really excited about what we have coming back. We have a huge senior class and really excited to get back to work. So very appreciative of Coach Dietz and Stevie for the opportunity to come back, and, just can't wait to get rolling.
Thanks, Coach Engel. We're definitely excited to have him back. He was, like he said, part of he was the quarterback of the team when I first got to DePauw, and just really impressed with how he was as a player. Not necessarily arm strength, Coach Engel, but it was the brain, the mind, and me being a former Division III quarterback myself, knowing that it's about where to go with the ball, what the defense is doing, and I was really impressed. And coming off playing, I played in the Arena Football League for 5 or 6 years, right before I got to DePauw, and then popped right on and met this college kid who was coaching quarterback. We were 9-1 that year, and just really impressed with his mind, and then stayed on, coached with us afterwards, and very inquisitive. So he was the one guy I definitely had experience with, played for us and coached before we hired him. So excited to have the 2 new guys on staff, as well as our defensive guys. We're still short 1 coach. We need to get another defensive coach on that side of the ball. And in case you guys are wondering, Coach Reha is still with the program. He's a volunteer for us after retiring. Still comes out, works with our kickers and punters, and also as well as helping out with the outside linebackers on defense. So still excited. He's still bopping around, telling the same stories, and probably the same stories that you guys heard when you guys were there. Not much has changed with him. So he seems like he hasn't aged a day since the day I met him 10 years ago. So, but he's definitely still part of us, still in the office and things like that. So, but I want you guys to kind of get to know me. You guys kind of heard from our staff, and hear about maybe what's different between you and Coach Lynch, or kind of what your vision for the program is. So the best way to do that is just talk about our program goals. Our number 1 goal in the DePauw football program is to earn a DePauw University degree. And that word earn means a lot, and we take it very seriously. When you hear the word earn, you don't barely get by. You don't steal it. You don't cheat. It is hard work. It is doing things the right way. So that word is there very intentionally, to earn. And we don't get that confused here. And that's something that I learned a lot from Coach Lynch, who was one of my coaching mentors for sure. It's academics first, especially at a place like DePauw. But I don't care if you're in Alabama, the academics still have to be first to always have that great education. So we have plenty of things in place. We have tools. We have study tables. Coach Cernka has developed an awesome academic game plan that's helped us creep well above that 3.0 GPA in the semester, and our CUME's rising up right around 3 right now. So all of our freshmen go through our academic game plan. Our sophomores and juniors use it too, especially if they're struggling. But we do a lot of things to help support the guys. If they ever have a conflict with classes in our practice, as long as they communicate and they tell us beforehand, there's no questions asked, they'll be able to go and do that thing. So definitely we're an academics first kind of place. Our second program goal is to represent DePauw in a first-class manner, and to be a Tiger in everything we do. And, that was something that Coach Nick brought here, and Coach Nick's still bopping around too. It's Tiger Pride, Chief Tiger Pride. And we still take that Tiger Pride and pick up a gum wrapper if we see it on the field, and not letting anything go by. But we want to represent DePauw in a first-class manner. And then the thing that I've kind of added to our program, something I'm really going to preach to our guys moving forward on how they're going to be Tigers and go forward not only in football and life, but use Tiger as an acronym. And it's something that, I've really believed in, and I kind of put my own spin on it when I got here and kind of took over. And the T in Tiger stands for team. And I love that being first, because we want to be team first guys. Football is the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate sport that it doesn't matter what your background is, what race you are. Everybody needs everybody else. Unlike a basketball or having an ace pitcher, just a best quarterback can't win football games. You got to have 10 other guys around you, and then you got to have a defense. Then you got to have a special teams. It's the ultimate team sport. And we want to put team first. We want to have team first guys. So we love that being first. The second letter I, the I in Tiger, is integrity. And that's something very important to me. It's something I think was important to me as I grew up, and I got shaped through it, and being a man of your word, and be honest. And that's how we're going to coach our guys. And that's what we're going to teach them to do. And that's our ultimate goal when we graduate these guys and they go off in the real world, is that they're men of integrity, and people can trust them. And that's what we want. We talk about that all the time. When I'm talking about quarterbacks, I was like, hey, can we trust you with the ball in your hands? Can we trust you to make that block? Can we, trust you to make that pass? It's a lot about trust. Long before I became the head coach, when I was a quarterback coach and coordinator, it's about trust, and I want to keep that going. The G is right in the middle. The G is in the middle of the word, and it's grit. And I really love that word. For me, grit is battling through adversity. So I think football is the ultimate sport you can teach, about teaching kids how to get through adversity. There's up and downs in a football game. There's big momentum swings, but it's about, hey, you might have made the worst mistake of your football career, but that doesn't mean on the very next play you can't come back and have the very best play of your entire career on the next play. So talk again a lot about former quarterbacks. We talk about quarterbacks, hey, forgetting that interception and moving on. And we're going to practice that stuff. So we're going to talk about it and practice it. We may put the offense on the -1 yard line and say, hey, you got to get a first down. And if not, there's going to be consequences, so that when we get in adverse situations in the game, we can rely back on the times we were successful, and we can learn from the times we weren't successful. So I believe in letting your kids fail so that you can learn from it. And I think the grit is a great word, and I love it right in the middle of our word tiger, because it's what you got to have deep down in your core. The E is enthusiasm, and that's something I really expressed to Coach Morris and Coach Engel in the recruiting process of recruiting them to be coaches here in the interview process. Was we need to have a lot of energy. If you're going to have a first-year head coach who doesn't have the wisdom, the last thing you can do is come out with low energy. So I want our practice to be high energy. I think our players are craving that, and I want to encourage all our coaching staff to coach and be out there with high energy, act like it's the best part of the day, because it is. And that'll show through the players, and I think football, again, is a big energy sport. I want the sideline hop, and I want guys to love it, even if they're not on the field. So enthusiasm is the E. And the last letter of my acronym in Tiger is the R, and that's respect. And Stevie touched on it earlier, but we want to respect everybody, all races, genders, it doesn't matter. We're all humans. We all got to do a better job at treating each other like that. And we've already done that. That was Coach Lynch's one of his biggest things when we would preach to those kids when we would get off the bus. They'd say thank you to the bus drivers. There's plenty of hotel employees, restaurant employees that would come up to us after we've left and said, hey, this is the best group we've ever had. And that really makes us proud as coaches, and something we definitely want to keep. And I like that being last too, because when you leave, after you meet a Tiger and you leave, you want to have that level of respect that, hey, he was a very respectable young man there, and I know he's going to go on and do great things. So that acronym of Tiger was very intentional. I thought about it long and hard before the interview process, and it's something that we're going to teach to our kids. And that's something I may stop a practice, and well, now I can't stop and bring them all up in a huddle, but we'll figure that out, and maybe on a megaphone, but talk about, hey, this is an adversity situation. We got to show our grit here, but talk a little bit more about our goals and our intentions, and present on that stuff more, because the more you tell them, the more they'll remember it. So, and then obviously team goal number 3 is we want to win. And within that win, the thing we want to do is we want to control our schedule. So we want to win the conference. Once you win the conference and you get that championship ring, then you can talk about national championships and playoffs. But for our team goals, we write win a conference championship. And right below that is beat Wabash, obviously. And we got that done this year, and that's still a big part of what we do and what our kids talk about in the weight room. Just so you guys know, we don't let anybody in any team functions wear any red. If they come to the weight room in a red shirt, we send them back home. They got to come back with a different color shirt on. Nobody can wear red. Nobody can wear red cleats, red shorts. Red is outlawed at DePauw. Not only is it Wabash, but it's also in this conference, it's Witt, it's Denison, it's everybody. So we really kind of outlaw red. I have no red in my closet anymore. It's all gone. So, but that's our third program goal, and it's win. So that kind of gives you a little bit of what we're teaching, what we're preaching at the heart of our program. And now I just want to kind of give you an update on a lot of the other things going around the program. Right now, our roster is very healthy. With the incoming freshmen coming in, we have 135 guys right now. And that may be a little higher than we want it, but I always say more is better than less. I'm sure the admissions office doesn't mind us having a little bit more on the roster right now either. Excuse me. But we're going to have a huge senior class, and that's why our roster is a little bit bigger this year. We have 31 seniors a part of our program, and that's an awesome number. They came in with a number of about 48, so that means only very few have dropped off as far as Division III numbers go. It's a very close class. And there's a lot of strong leaders in that class too. Not everybody that's in that senior class is a starter or plays or has even traveled before. But it's a very close class. And that's going to be important for me and our staff moving forward. We do have a leadership council, and part of that is we need to help develop leaders in the younger classes. I know we got strong leaders in that senior class, but when they graduate, we got to have some leadership trained to ready to step up and take over for the season of 2021. So our staff's going to work hard to not only develop leadership within our seniors, but also the underclassmen so that we can develop leaders in all classes. But we have a decent sized junior class. Last year we brought in 45 freshmen, so those guys will be sophomores next year, and then we're bringing in 43 freshmen this year as well. So I just want to thank our staff that's on the call here. I mean, these guys busted their butt this year. We were undermanned, we were understaffed with coaches leaving, taking other jobs. Coach Hood's now the special teams coach and defensive line coach at UIndy. Coach Mannering is the head coach at his alma mater, his high school at Lewis Cass. And obviously Coach Lynch retired. So we didn't get Engel and Morris hired well in recruiting season. Like I said, these guys just started. So Scott and Austin, thanks for busting your butt this year. And we really pulled it together. And I think there's some really good talent in this class too. These aren't just numbers of guys that'll never play. I know from top to bottom, our offensive line this year is really special. We got some unbelievable linebackers we got in this class. And really probably something that's very important now, but has been important to Coach Lynch and what we've been trying to do is increase some diversity on our roster. And not only racially, but also geographically. When Coach Lynch took over, he really wanted to get back into Indiana, and we did that. And just in the past few years, we've started expanding out. And this class we're bringing in has 12 different states represented in those 43 guys. And we have 14 states represented on our roster right now, and this class came from 12 of those. So just to mention them, just so you guys know, in this recruiting class here, we have one from California, one from Colorado, one from Florida, 6 from Illinois, 25 from Indiana. So that's still our home base is in the backyard of Indiana. One from Kansas, one from Massachusetts, one from Michigan, 3 from Missouri, one from New York, one from Cincinnati, who I'll talk about in a second, one from Tennessee. So it's a class from guys from all over. There's 9 students of color in that class, and that is going to over double our current roster. And that's something that we've been trying to fix with Coach Lynch, and just we want the diversity of our football team to represent the diversity of America. And I think our guys did a great job this year, obviously with admissions helping us out as well, but we really kind of emphasized that. And I think we got guys that fit DePauw. And that's ultimately what we're trying to recruit. Yes, we are trying to recruit the best football players, but at the end of the day, we got to find the best fits for DePauw. Because if we invest all this time, the kid comes this freshman year, finds out it's not for him, and he transfers out, that's almost wasted reps. We want to retain everybody we bring in. So it's about finding the right fit academically as well as being a fit for our program. And I think we found that in this class, which is awesome. So I want to thank you guys for pulling that together and bringing in an awesome class this year. Just so you guys know what our schedule looks like next year, as of right now, we're opening up with Butler. And I know some of you guys on this call have played Butler in the past. We're back to playing Butler. Coach Lynch set that game up because he's a Butler grad, and the head coach at Butler is Jeff Forrest, who is an unbelievable quarterback here at DePauw. He's the head coach of Butler now, as well as Joe Cheshire, also a DePauw grad, the defensive coordinator at Butler. Matt McCarroll's on staff there. He used to be our running back coach here. So there's a lot of crossover between the two programs. So we're opening up with them at home the second Saturday in September. Then we play Kenyon at home, and then we play Wittenberg at home too, or on the road. So our first 2 games are at home, which I think will really help. Before we go on the road, we're going to play a night game against Wittenberg, which will be a huge test in the conference. So a great schedule kind of to start. Excited about playing Butler again and playing the Division I FCS school. I think our kids are really excited about that too. The other thing that I wanted to mention before Stevie Zeta or Steve mentions it is we are reestablishing the DePauw Football Alumni Club. And this is going to be based on LinkedIn. And we were really ramping it up right before COVID all hit. We were doing these Meet the Coach nights and really kind of had it rolling, and then it's been a little bit on pause since that. But it's a group that exists on LinkedIn. We're not only do we want our alums to engage with that, and I'm going to ask Coach Engel to help engage more people with that, with our alumni being an alum himself. But also we want our players to join that group and join that link. And the goal with that is that to just increase communication between straight from alumni, from the football program. And this is not something that's coming from the institution. This is not something that Zeta's office is running. This is coming straight from alums themselves. You guys know Don Popovac. He was very passionate when we got hired that we restarted this, and Marshall got behind it as well. And so we have this group, and hopefully it continues to grow, and we use it, and our players can connect with you guys for internships and jobs, and you guys can keep reaching out to us and Coach Morris with examples of great prospective student athletes coming from Cincinnati. So the idea would just be a lot of information flowing back and forth, connections happening, which is all LinkedIn's about. And again, it's coming straight from our alums. This is not something that the administration's forcing or anything. This is very much a grassroots thing. We also have the Tiger Club. If you don't know, the Tiger Club is our fundraising platform we have in athletics. And within our Tiger Club this year, we have a travel fund. And COVID-19's putting a wrench in some of our plans, but eventually we're going to travel overseas to Europe with our football program. And we think it's going to be a transformative experience, not necessarily from a football practice and playing standpoint, even though we will play an international game. We think that'll be fun for the guys, but it's really going to be about building memories and giving those guys experiences, and then a lot of team building. So there will be some cultural education going on. They may get credit for it. We still got to work some of those details out, but the guys are really excited. There's not one person that I talked to about it that said they weren't interested in going. They're all really excited about it. So the idea of the travel fund would be to help offset the cost for each player. So it will be expensive to go over there, but the travel fund will get divided amongst the players and won't go to anybody else other than our players, the people that are going to be immediately impacted, and help offset the cost so that more of our student athletes can come. A lot of other colleges, they'll do these, and they either won't do any fundraising or it's very limited and they only get part of their roster that gets to go. I would hope to get as many people that want to go, able to go. And we probably can't do that without the help of you guys and the alumni and building some money up in this fund. So we don't know exactly where we're going or when we're going or where we're going, but we know we got it narrowed down to 3 sites in Europe. And guys are excited about getting over there, and we let the players have some input. But we'll use a travel company that'll set a lot of things up, and we'll have players, our parents will be able to come, alumni will be able to come if you guys are interested in doing that. But the trip will be about 9 days. And I'm very fired up about doing it too. I played my first year out of college, I played in Finland, which was an awesome experience. My first time over that part of the world, and just fell in love with every part of it. So I'm dying to get back to that part of the world, and I'm excited we get to travel with coaches and players and see if Stevie wants to come and join along with us. And but should be really great experience, and it fits really well with DePauw. We send a lot of our players to travel abroad anyway. We really push them to have an international experience and to get 2 internships, and this is a big part of it. So this will be able to provide those guys, if they don't know where to go, this will give them something. Again, we can wrap a little football into it, get to practice while we're over there and play a game, which will be really fun for everybody. So I'm excited, and I know our staff is too when we were working on it, and it got put on hold a little bit from COVID, but we'll keep working forward. We're not giving up on that. We'll go there eventually here in the next couple of years. So, but that's it for me. Stevie, I'm going to turn it back to you and see if we can open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Brett. I am thrilled, like I said earlier, about the trajectory of our football program, what has happened in the last 8 years, really. When we had the transition from our previous head coach to Coach Lynch, there was not a lot of alumni pride, to be quite honest with you, in the program. And Coach Lynch was able to restore that. During the transition, when he came on, there were 2 staff members that I told Bill Lynch he needed to hang on to, and they're both still on the screen here, kind of thing. Because
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because regardless whomever was the head coach, Brett and Scott were perfect for DePauw in terms of their philosophy about where athletics participation fit. Academics come first, but athletics and passion there come a very strong second. They are very committed to our students in the classroom, as evidenced by the GPAs that we have seen. I think until this fall, we hadn't seen a team GPA in football over 3.0. So it is wonderful what they have been able, the kind of support that they've been able to provide for their students. So it's fantastic. And you know, we're in the midst of this whole COVID thing. I will share with folks on the call here is that we plan to offer some opportunities this summer for alumni to hear directly from us about steps we're taking to ensure that our student athletes are going to be safe when they come back to DePauw. We have announced that we are going to open campus and that we are going to have in-person classes and kids are going to be able to live in the dorms. And we are working feverishly to figure out how we can do that in the safest possible way for them. And then we're working just as quickly with our North Coast Athletic Conference colleagues to figure out what it's going to look like from an athletic end of things. So all of that stuff is going to rapidly change in the next couple of weeks, and we'll provide additional opportunities for our alumni to hear directly from us about where we're going on that. But at this point, Zaida's poking me, and she's saying we don't have any questions from anybody. So is there anything else that anybody on the panel wants to say as a parting word before I let the group go?
I have a question for you, Stevie.
Yes, sir.
Well, the question I have is, so you mentioned that we're coming back to campus, but what's the overall kind of within the conference and Division III and the NCAA about, will there be sports this fall?
That's a great question. So the NCAA is providing guidance in this space. They're not providing mandates. And so every institution in the membership gets to determine where they sort of fit into it. They've put out 3 documents at that level to give us an idea about what we should be thinking about. And a lot of those things were frankly already in line with what we were doing institutionally and what we were doing in a North Coast conference. So the key things coming back is that you have to be able to test students. You need to be able to isolate them if they are symptomatic, and you need to be able to trace their contacts very quickly. So that way you can prevent the spread. The NCAA recommends a 3-phase approach back to sport. So essentially your first phase, you're not even in a group, but you're exercising again and you're using potentially sport tools. Second one, you got a little bit more people that are around you, but you're still not close to anybody else. And then third is when you're actually starting to get back into what it would look like in normal. The sport of football is probably, I'll be honest with you, one of the hardest sports to consider what that return looks like, because we cannot promise that there is not going to be spread. Everything we're doing is trying to mitigate and reduce the spread of the virus. So if I give you an example of, if I think about football, that, you know, most of the folks wear gloves at that moment in time. So you're thinking like, hey, I'm protected. But if I think about just a series of an offensive lineman who might wipe their face, touch the ball, hand the ball off to somebody else, someone else catches it, they then proceed to take their mouth guard out of their mouth and then put it into their helmet. There's a lot of transmission going on there. So I'm going to be looking at all these folks on the screen to say, how can we start teaching our students about how to change some of these behaviors? So that way we can reduce transmission. We are super fortunate that we have Dr. David Harsha on our campus, who is our medical director and our team physician through Hendricks Regional Health. He has been an absolute rock star in this, trying to get us connected with folks who are able to help us do that testing and contact tracing and isolation and all that other kind of stuff that we need to have. So we are going to do our best to do it safely. In our conference, we've actually at DePauw been leading those efforts to bring everybody together. And we've got a great plan. Now we just got to see if we can execute it. But it's very similar to what the NCAA is putting out in terms of this phased return kind of thing. I saw a question on there come up like, what might practice look like in August? So I actually ran some preliminary numbers, and I'm not gonna, I know we're recording, but nobody can hold me to these. You know, if we would play our opening game as scheduled, which is September 12th, What we'd actually want to do is have our student athletes start going through that first phase. I think it's August 4th, if I remember correctly, from what I had shared with Brett. And essentially they would go through 2 weeks of practice where they're becoming reacclimated to sport. We're watching them for symptoms. We don't want them working out with each other. It basically looks like individual workouts type of thing. They spend 2 weeks in that phase. So somewhere around August 18th, then they transition into working into smaller groups at that point in time. Brett and I have talked, it might look like an offense and a defense, but I've also said, maybe you want to mix it up a little bit just in case somebody on, like, I don't know, the offensive side of the ball gets infected and we have to shut that side down. Like, it might look like backyard football if everybody on defense is playing on both sides of the ball kind of thing. Might actually be quite fun, probably. And they'll spend 2 weeks like that. And then they'll move into 2 weeks, which would look like a traditional football 2-a-day type thing. And it's at that end of that 2 weeks, you then would be engaging back against competition. So there's a lot of responsibility on everybody on our campus to do what's right, not just for themselves, but for others. So big key rule is if you don't feel well, we need you to stay home. We need you to monitor your personal health so that way we can start to put together symptoms and see how you're feeling. And then on top of that, we got to make sure that people are washing their hands, figuring out some new sort of thing with this mouth guard kind of thing and water bottles and all that other kind of stuff. But you'll see soon, we're bringing back the DePauw never quits concept that was really prevalent in the 80s when Nick first got here. So DePauw's not quitting on this one, but we're not going to be stupid and compromise the safety of our student athletes or our staff in this either.
And just to kind of piggyback on top of that, our staff has been working and brainstorming on, hey, what does that look like? But I think part of it is, we're going to get some help too, because all these Division I's are starting back here in the next few weeks, and they're going to have training room rules, and they're going to be doing this for almost 60 days before we report back. So hopefully the Division I's are going to be able to share their info, their best practices. Same way with, hey, how are they handling phase 1? What did they do in phase 2 with balls and mouthpieces? And hopefully this Corona stuff keeps getting better and better, and some of the restrictions are lifted. But that's everybody doing their part to take care of themselves across the country and in Indiana and Putnam County and on campus as well. But I know these seniors, these football guys are ready to go. They're itching to get back to it. And hopefully it'll all go according to plan, and we won't have setbacks, and we'll definitely figure it out. It's not the first way I've had my first season going in my dreams, but it is what it is, and we'll get through it. And DePauw never quit, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we tell that we say that sport teaches resiliency, right? And teaches you to be able to adapt and how to be coached. And this fall is going to be an exercise in that. And just everybody needs to exhibit some patience. They need to be responsible. And I'm looking forward to getting everybody back on campus. I just hope they keep their social distance when they first come back, because I think their first thing is they're going to want to hug everybody and high five everybody and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm going to want them to keep their distance just for a little bit kind of thing. So, all right. Well, that's our program for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining us and giving us an opportunity to introduce Brett and the rest of the staff. Steve, thank you so much for being our virtual host tonight. We wish we were in Cincinnati with you and coming down that way. But we promise when this whole Corona thing is over, we will be back in that space, and we would love to see you in person.
That'd be great. One thing I would mention to everybody is what my takeaways from this is how we can help as alumni is join the DePauw Football Alumni Club on LinkedIn, participate in the Tiger Club, and specifically the travel fund to help the kids go to Europe, and then help Adam recruit kids from Cincinnati. This is a hotbed for football, and there's no reason you should only have one kid coming from Cincinnati. We need to get more people from Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. So I encourage everybody to try to help, and as we do it, we can celebrate hopefully together versus the way we're doing it now.
Thanks, Steve. We appreciate it. If we were hosting in Cincinnati, I was going to make sure you had Skyline and La Rosa's catered in so that I can get my Cincinnati food fix.
Well, we can bring that over to you. My son's going to be a senior, so I'll have him bring you some.
There we go. Good deal.
That sounds like a deal, Steve.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a great evening, and we hope to see you in the fall.